QuoteSoft Duct 4.0 Introduction to the Central Data Window. Clicking the Central Data button on the main menu will open the Central Data window. This was referred to as the Setup menu in the legacy Duct software. On the left-hand side you have the Central Data navigation tree, and you'll have a list of setups as well as the different catalogs that you have available. Expanding the setup will let you see the data file and the pressure class tables that you have. Expanding the data file will let you see all the individual pages within the data file. Material, labor rates, wrap, liner, hangers, turning vanes, seam and sealants, joints and sealants, and reinforcements. All the same pages that you had available in the previous legacy setup. Let's first expand joints and sealants. By clicking on the folder, it'll open it. We've got rectangular joints available to us, round, oval, and then also a combined sealants page. Clicking on the rectangular joints will populate the screen to the right with the joint information. You can see across the top we have the name of the joint, so galvanized TDF TDC. We've got the bend allowance, straight allowances, and also the horizontal cost and description, the vertical cost and description, and the each cost and description. Listed on the lower left, you have the labor for this joint connector based on the size, height plus width. Clicking on another joint will update the grid down at the bottom to show you the information for that particular joint. Listed to the bottom right is going to be where you set up your scrap percentage, your screws per foot, and also which sealants you want allowed with this joint. Next, if we click on the joint sealants, you'll see that this is a combined page with all of the joint sealants available on it. Next, we'll look at the pressure class tables. I'm going to minimize the data file tree and expand the pressure classes. Let's go into the rectangular folder and we'll select our 2-inch standard. So the 2-inch file has a list of items and the default components. So if I click on the items, I'll then see there's an icon next to all of the different items that are set up within this pressure class table. Let's select the 90-degree square elbow. Upon doing so, you'll see that the screen is broken up based off of the aspect ratio. 1:1, 2:1, and 3:1. 12 by 12 square elbow would come up on this line, the 24-inch size. Here's our fabrication labor, install labor, and other labor. All of the items that were available within the legacy software are available within this tree. Let's minimize this and look at the default components for this pressure class table. Within this pressure class table, you can set your labor rates, material, scrap, seams, joints and reinforcements, and so on. Let's select the joints and reinforcements. This page is divided up into the centerline length, just like the previous software was, 72, 60, following along the same guidelines as your SMACNA tables. Let's expand the 60, since we have a standard length of 5-foot duct for this 2-inch table. And if the duct was 24 by 24, we would use the 24-inch size, and this would tell us what gauge, joint, sealer, and also the reinforcements that we're going to use for it. If it was a 24-inch elbow, most likely it would be using the 24-inch table and the 24-inch line, and this would allow us to quickly compare what the setup is between the two different files if we wanted to. Next, let's look at the catalogs. So in order to get into that, I'm going to minimize the setups so that we can see the catalogs in this window. I'm now going to click on the equipment catalog and then the fans category within that catalog. Next, we have several groups available to us. I'm going to select the ceiling exhaust fan group. After selecting the group, I'll see that there is a list of items presented to me down on the lower right. All of these items are set up within this group. By selecting a different group in the tree, I'll actually see a different list of items on the lower right. Let's go back to the ceiling exhaust fans. So we've got a code for the item, and we've got a description for the item. And of course, this item doesn't have any dimensions, so there's nothing listed in this column. I've decided that I would like to set up install labor for these items within this group. In order to do that, I need to edit the group and add the install labor field. So up at the top of the screen, I'm going to click Edit Group. You'll see that when I do, it brings up the ceiling exhaust fans group. I'm now going to check the box that says Install Labor up here in the Group and Labor Cost options, and then go ahead and hit Save Changes. Now you'll see I have an install labor column added to my group. I can simply click on the item and hit edit, and it would allow me to put in the installation hours that I'd like for this individual item. This is for the 60 CFM fan only. Once I get done, I hit Save Changes, and then I can do the same to the next size, continuing on through my list by either hitting Edit Item or opening it with a double click. There is, of course, a faster way to do this, and that's using Group Export. So it doesn't matter what you have selected on this screen because it's going to export the entire group of items. Just click Group Export up here at the top, and it'll open this list in Excel. This list now has the column for install labor, and I'm going to expand this out, the name, so that we can see the install hours column, and you can put in the hours that you want for each of these individual items. Let's say we decided that it was going to be a half hour for each of these items. Simply type in the labor that you want in decimal form for all of the items, and then save the sheet. When you click the X in the upper right, it'll automatically ask you if you'd like to save it, and I hit Save. Now, I hit Group Import. Upon doing so, it's going to default to the location of where I had that saved. So when I hit Open, it'll automatically import those hours for me. This makes it easier to edit a group of items all at the same time. So from this point forward, these exhaust fans will now have install hours associated with them. Next, let's look at the air conditioning equipment. I'll go ahead and expand that one. We have ductless air conditioner, and we also have rooftop units. Let's click on rooftop units. So you can see they're broken up by the standard rooftop unit size per CFM as well. If we wanted the install labor, we would just go through the same exact process. Edit the group, enable install labor, hit Save Changes, export to Excel, fill in the values, and import. Since there's only 5 or 6 items, I could do these manually probably just as quickly. Next, let's move on to items such as the accessory file. So looking at HVAC ducting products, I have a category in here called Accessory Snap Lock File. When we click on that, we'll see that it expands and it's got all of the common items available. The 90 elbow, flex duct, down here we've got snap lock pipe, we've got a Y, a takeoff flange with damper, all of the items that were typically available within the accessory file. Let's click on the adjustable elbow. We now see an item list. We've got a code, we've got a name, the dimensions are being stored, square foot, weight, install hours, other hours, and an item cost. All this information is already available within the system. I don't need to edit this group and add install labor as it already has it. Same for all of the items that are available within this category, the accessory snap lock file. So understanding that within your central data window, you have your setups, which contain your data files and pressure class tables, and then you have your catalogs, which contain your catalog items such as equipment, grills, registers, and diffusers, louvers, access doors, fire dampers, and your accessory file, your snap lock pipe, adjustable elbow, spin-ins, and start collars. All of those items are available through this one central data navigation tree. This would conclude the introductory video to the central data.